Hey everybody, thank you so much for clicking on today's video. For this week's vlog, we are headed down to Road Atlanta. Actually, it's about an hour and a half away from where we are. Today is Friday, March 24th, is it? Is it the 24th? Yeah. Yeah, it's the 24th. The Trans Am cars are down there for the weekend, so we're going to go see them. I know they've got a vintage class as well. Should be a good day. I haven't been to a road race in quite a while, so it should be fun. And I've actually never seen the Trans Am cars in person, but they're super cool, so I'm really excited. Also going to be doing the Q&A in today's video, so yeah, tag along with us. All right, so the first question that we're going to look at here is from TikTok. The user's name is Cross Border Trucking. He says, how do you approach potential partners, specifically sponsors? Working on this myself, and I have no clue. By the way, everybody, I haven't prepared an answer to any of these questions. I'm going to go ahead and do it blind. So how do you approach potential partners? That's a really good question. And honestly, it's super dependent on the situation that you're in. So, and it depends on the partner that you're trying to approach. So if somebody is very active on Facebook, this business that you want to sponsor your racing program, if they're very active on Facebook and Instagram, then that's honestly one of the best ways that I've found to approach them, because you can immediately get to their marketing manager, their social media manager, because whoever sees that message from you is going to be the right person to talk to about doing a marketing partnership of some kind. A lot of times, businesses will put info at whatever the business is, whatever their website is, on their website as their contact point. That's typically not a great place to start, just because you're going to get somebody who's not involved in what you're looking to do. So honestly, Facebook, Instagram, and I would use LinkedIn a lot too. If you can find a good point of contact on LinkedIn, then that's not a bad thing to do at all. But yeah, Facebook Messenger, Instagram Messenger, that's been a really good way for us. Essentially, I just say something like, hey, I'm looking for who's the right person to talk to for a marketing partnership. And that usually works out pretty well. So I hope that helps. All right, we made it out here. We made it out here to Road Atlanta. It's pretty loud. Vintage cars are out right now, just for open practice. Somebody just spun right in front of us. Right in front of us. Should be a fun day. All right, the next question that we're going to answer is from Stephen Thomas on LinkedIn. He says, hey Tucker, I have a couple questions. How did you get your start in the marketing industry, and how did you find that starting your own media company was your path? So he has a few questions, but I'll answer this one first. I got my start in the marketing industry actually through university. I went to Appalachian State University, and while I was there, I studied communications, journalism, and marketing, as well as creative writing. And so that's kind of where I got my foot in the door with it. I've always leaned more towards the creative arts, and marketing just happens to be one of those that you can do professionally. So, right after school, I tried to be a novelist. If you've ever done anything like that, you know that it doesn't make a whole lot of money very quickly. So I kind of had to ask myself, what else can I do with my skill set? And marketing was definitely one of those things. Motorsports marketing made sense because I grew up in racing. My dad worked in IndyCar. My grandfather worked with IndyCar. So I grew up in this industry and just traveling around to racetracks all the time. So the marriage of the two, motorsports and marketing, just kind of seemed to be the perfect fit. He also asked, how did you find that starting your own media company was your path? I've always been a better leader than a follower. And so when it came time to, go back to my roots of racing, I had to ask myself what would be the best decision to make. And I decided to count on myself, bet on myself, and start my own thing and see how it goes. So that's what I did, and it's been working out so far. So that's good. Stephen Thomas on LinkedIn also wants to know, what hurdles have you experienced and overcome as a business owner in the racing community? Anybody watching this video, if you're in the racing industry, you know how hard it can be running your own business, running your own team, running your own program, whatever it is. The biggest hurdles that I've experienced are just what most other small business and small racers experience, which is just money is tight all the time. It can be really difficult to go do what you want to do just because the racing world is so expensive. And everybody wants sponsors to help with that, but sponsors are the hardest thing in the whole industry to find. It's the hardest piece of the whole pie. So those have been the biggest experiences or hurdles that I've experienced with doing this on my own, specifically like in the racing community. Hey everybody, the TA2 cars are about to go out, so I think this is going to be really fun. They have a really big group going out. I'll flip the camera around so you can see. Engines are firing. All right, the next question that we're going to get to is from Justin Feast. I hope I'm saying that right. He also asked a question on LinkedIn. He says, "Hey Tucker, how did you first get involved in motorsport, and where would you like to see it grow in America?" I've already touched on this a little bit. I've always grown up around it. I grew up really like traveling around to different racetracks with my dad and my brother. My brother was a racer since a very young age. I always enjoyed more like getting to know the people at the track more than doing the racing myself. I've gotten more into that as I've gotten older, working on the car, working with my brother, kind of building our own team here is in the dirt world now. But that's how I got involved in it to begin with. Where I would really like to see it grow in the United States is kind of what's already growing right now, which is grassroots short track racing, whether that's pavement or dirt. Dirt is something that's really interesting that my family and I didn't really have a whole lot of experience with until just recently, just about 2 years ago when we started trying to do it ourselves. But yeah, short track racing, pavement or dirt it's a really, really cool part of motorsports that a lot of people don't really think about sometimes. Most people, when they think of racing, they think of IndyCar or Formula One or NASCAR and only the really big things. But really, it's the grassroots racing that kind of makes the whole world go round in that industry, and I would just like to see that continue to grow. It's definitely growing now with things like Flow. Flow racing is great, and especially with people being online and on social media, it's definitely grown a lot, and I think it's going to continue to do that. So I'm just excited to see where it goes from here. The food place here, do you know what it's called? The Track Cafe thing. I don't know what it's called. I guess they're known for their barbecue, according to the PA guy. But it is open, so that's good. We're gonna grab a bite to eat really quick. It's good and hot outside. It's 80-something degrees, so get something to drink, get something to eat, take a little bit of a rest, and then the Paddock Grill. Okay. Get something to eat, get some energy back, and get back to it. This will be our last question here, but it's from Michael J. Rebus on LinkedIn. He says, what metrics do you utilize to determine whether or not you had a successful media weekend and season? So we're going to end on a banger here. That's a really, really good question. Especially, working in media, these things can be a little bit difficult to measure if you go outside of just like standard analytics, which is just numbers, right? But outside of that, it can be a little bit difficult to measure these things because a lot of it is subjective, But obviously, we use social media analytics. That's a number one factor because it's easy to track. All the data is there for you through, tools like Meta Business Suite is really helpful. But pretty much every social media platform these days has a way to track your analytics, which is good. But essentially, I try to do a combination of internally growing our media presence through social media accounts, websites, YouTube, things like that. But I also try to bring in outside media coverage for any of our drivers or racing programs that we're working with. outside media is a very beneficial thing. You know, if you can get your driver a spot on a radio talk show or a podcast or an article in their local newspaper, that's all added value. So essentially what I'm trying to do when I sit down to say, okay, were we successful or not, is were we able to bring in outside media coverage, and were we able to grow our own media coverage and our own digital presence? That's really what it's all about. So I hope that answers your question. All right, so we're wrapping up at Road Atlanta. We're going to head out a little bit earlier than we were initially expecting. We came here with a couple very specific goals in mind, stuff that I can't really reveal quite yet, but hopefully soon. And we've accomplished those goals, so we're going to go ahead and move on. We've got a little bit of a drive back home, so we're going to go ahead and head out. It's only practice day today, you know. Racing will be tomorrow. We're not actually going to come out again tomorrow. It's just kind of a one-day little trip here. So anyway, we're packing up and heading home. So it was a good day. It's hot, but it's nice to see some good weather, you know, racing in some good weather like this. They had quite a few classes. Some of them were more interesting than others, for sure. But yeah, so mission accomplished. Hopefully you'll be seeing a lot more content in the next coming few days. Got a lot of photo, a lot of video content to go edit now. So that's about it. Thank you so much, everybody, for participating in the Q&A. I hope to do these more regularly, but it all kind of depends on what questions you guys have and if there are enough to commit a whole spot on a video to it. Obviously, the YouTube channel is still small. We're still growing. But I'm really appreciative of everybody who's liked and subscribed so far, commented, left questions. That's been really good. So thank you so much. Thank you again for watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe for more racing media content, and I will see you guys in the next one.